The Arabasta, or Baroque Works Arc, still stands as a high point for the series, with it expanding the scope of the story's microplot, having very effective and mostly competent villains, some of the best displays of mid-battle enlightenment for the Straw Hats to grow, as well as delved further into the moral ambiguity behind factions and individuals. Of all the points worth praising though, one that gets overlooked a bit is the character who sent the plot on this journey to Arabasta, Princess Vivi. Sure, she gets a lot of love from many fans, some for the wrong reasons, and consistent popularity even when having stopped appearing frequently, but it's rare to see many verbalize what makes her role in the arc great, which is where this video comes in. The first thing that makes her stand out when looking back at her is how her position as a princess contrasts with her proactive role. In many shonen works, Princess archetypes or similar female leaders of nobility are characterized as passive nurturers that, while sometimes working for the narrative, does make the majority little more than a bland trope. The fictional princess I think of as most comparable to Vivi isn't one within a shonen work, but rather Leia Organa from Star Wars, in both knowing when to be diplomatic or take action. Not only is this present with the risk she took in infiltrating Baroque Works, that would have gone badly if Crocodile had taken a more active role in reviewing his subordinates, rather than leaving things to Robin, and having the ability to become a numbered agent, but going to such depths to maintain her cover as Miss Wednesday as to be willing to participate in whaling. Though initially an obvious symptom of her true identity being a last-minute decision, it works itself well into her later characterization by showing the lengths she's willing to go to for the greater good of her country, and contrasts with her true nature towards the value of animal life, along with some growth in coming to befriend Chopper, making us know how much she must have been burying her feelings for the sake of Arabasta. Burying her feelings for the greater good is made apparent to have been a constant for her since her first meeting with Wapol, and this displays an important aspect of the Nefertari family in the necessary attributes of a monarch. A common portrayal of monarchy within many modern stories is purely as an oppressive or flawed system, ignoring the reasons why it endured longer than any other political system, with both Cobra and Vivi representing what a monarch should be. Genetics and conquest may found a dynasty, but what causes it to remain is the next generation maintaining the ideals of a monarch, rather than a tyrant, in doing what's best for the strength of the nation and security of its citizens, with a kin passing these teachings down to their children being a strength absent from more democratic systems, and Cobra successfully doing so not only by having Vivi value the needs of the common people as much as he, but surpass him in the ability to defend Arabasta, through not being as reactionary as him, trying to find Arabasta's corruption at the source, and doing what little she can to help, eventually being a crucial factor in Alabasta not being destroyed, and will certainly do even more for the world with recent events. This compassion is best displayed in Cobra and Vivi's willingness to have the royal army stand down, or sacrifice the palace if it meant saving rebel lives, with the truth of things being manipulated being quite refreshing, in an era where rebel forces standing against a tyrannical kin has become a cliché. And the recent events of her ancestor Lily suggests these compassionate ideals have been strong since the Void Century. What makes Vivi's role with the Straw Hats so important is how she affects them and vice versa. She shows Luffy the importance of diplomacy, which otherwise may have not allowed him to embody Shanks' philosophy in Mocktown, especially when you compare his East Blue self's reaction to the mocking of dreams, and helps Nami move away further from focusing too much on monetary reward, which aided in her doing the same with Lola later. That, while played for laughs, is a difficult desire to overcome when birthed from a trauma-formed ideology. At the same time, Luffy ends up helping her grow as a leader in acknowledging the losses that will inevitably come, and seem to be even more relevant now than then. Beyond that, she helps reflect aspects of the Straw Hats when acting as some level of an audience surrogate, or the human amongst superhumans. Although Usopp had and still does serve as the most human and least capable of the crew, this is only in relation to the crew or their enemies, when he'd already been capable of defeating a fairly strong fishman alone before they entered the Grand Line, and would show superhuman durability beyond that of a skilled assassin and powerful Zoan, as well as started living up fully to his marksmanship claims. Nami is the physically weakest of the crew, but has weather predictions that are practically superhuman, and gained enough resolve from her desire to be strong enough to defend herself that she could endure attacks from the second strongest female agent of Baroque Works. It's through Vivi's role as someone about as skilled as a regular human athlete, in a crew where even the weakest members defy what the average Joe would say is possible, that we see how this novice crew may have what it takes to brave the Grand Line, that make the growth in abilities for Usopp and Nami especially far from jarring. In order to realise how well Vivi plays her role, it's important to judge the New World's Arabasta parallel, Dressrosa, and how hit or miss the latter is in reflecting Arabasta's plot points, with one of the biggest misses being Rebecca, someone who shows what happens when you remove the moral dilemmas and character growth of Vivi, in what ends up a bland Princess Archetype, only separating herself in being more capable of combat. That just ends up making her design confusing, when looking less like someone competing in a serious gladiatorial battle for the sake of her country, and more like the halftime entertainment. Viola ends up being the greater alternate take on Vivi, including the differing method of getting close to her country's usurper, but still ends up inferior to Vivi, although playing a good supporting role in helping Usopp save enough of Dressrosa to be worshipped as a god. It wasn't as though this was the most important factor in that, making her actions not on par with saving the kingdom from certain doom. Overall, Vivi's character within the Baroque Works arc, with her reflecting the Straw Hat crew or them aiding in her growth, showing the traits of an ideal ruler, and having the strength of willpower despite her physical weakness, make her both sympathetic and admirable, as a well-realised take on a common archetype. Thank you if having watched through this analysis. With this and the previous One Piece video, it makes sense for the next one to delve into a Skypiea-centric topic, so be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for that. With that, I'll see you next time.